Welcome to the Notre Dame High School College Planning Program. My name is Dominic Mastriano, and I am the Director of the School and College Counseling Department here at Notre Dame High School. We've put this program together to better help our seniors and their families navigate the college process during this unsettling and unprecedented time for all. I understand that there is a lot of information in this presentation. Please know that it will be available to watch again at your convenience in case you miss anything. And I can't stress enough that Mrs. Johnson and myself will be available to answer any questions or address any concerns you may have both at the end of the slide presentation or any time in the future. So let's get started. I'd like to start by introducing you guys, our families, to the School and College Counseling Office. As always, our students are divided by the first letter of their last name. I have students' last names A through K, and Mrs. Johnson has students' last names L through Z. Our emails are on the slide for you to see in case you need to reach us. Okay, the college process. There's two questions. Where is your son in this process? And fortunately or unfortunately, where are you in this process? Your son by now should have at least started and should be finalizing his list of colleges. We asked them in the spring to categorize these schools as to whether or not they felt it was a reach school, a target school, or a likely school that they would get into upon application. We explained to them in the spring that based upon GPAs, standardized test scores and such, and again, standardized test scores taking into account the PSATs at the time, the likelihood that they would get in. With that list, colleges, we asked students to start visiting some schools, but certainly with what's going on in the world, college visits were not possible. However, most schools, if not all schools, offer virtual tours. So based upon his list of colleges, and as it's starting to get pared down, we definitely encourage the students to go to the school's website and tour it virtually. Your son should also start preparing the application process. We'll talk about the common application in a few minutes, but certainly included with the application will be the college essay. I would venture to guess that the college essay will take on more importance this year, as most colleges are not going to be requiring standardized testing, and they'll use the essay as a way to better evaluate our students, all students, for their schools. Also, we ask that everyone pays attention to deadlines, whether the student is applying early decision, early action, regular decision, or rolling admission. That can be communicated through certainly the school's websites and their admissions officers. The next slide kind of is an overview of the components of the application process. Who sends what where? So as you can tell, there's what the student sends, what we send here in the School and College Counseling Office, and certainly what the teacher is going to be sending out for the teacher recommendations, which we'll be talking about in a few minutes. So as you could tell, it doesn't matter what's received first in terms of whether or not the student's application, the fee, the essay, the supplement, any other required information. The guidance department here will be submitting the transcript, including senior year courses. So the colleges will see the school's students' senior year courses and what they're taking. And accompanying forms, the recommendation, the school profile, the first quarter grades if requested, and the midterm grades, which we sent. We'll talk more about teacher recommendations in a moment. The applications themselves, most colleges subscribe to the Common Application, so students should be going to that www.commonapp.org and creating an account. Some schools, there are some schools out there that have school-specific applications, and that'll be denoted on the college's website insofar as whether or not they have a specific type of application they're requesting. Any supplemental forms for individual college must be completed prior to submitting it, and applications are submitted online. Just a word of caution, anything that is considered to be optional should be done. So an optional essay, an optional question doesn't really mean optional. The student should answer it. Once the student is settled with his application, the Common Application, they will submit electronically with their payment, obviously. All the colleges want their fees. Once they submit, the student will receive an email confirmation, just like if they were to purchase something online, they'll get a confirmation from the college saying we've received your application, and then that confirmation should be forwarded via email to the student's counselor. This way the counselor will have a record that the student has applied to a particular school, and we can send the accompanying information. The next slide talks about senior forms. There are 3 major forms that the seniors need to complete in order to start the application process. The first is the college application data form, and I've included here a link to that particular form, and it's also going to be available to the seniors on their Google Forms classroom that they have all signed up for along the way. So all of our students have been invited to and have joined the class of 2021 Google Classroom. And if they have a problem getting in, we told them that they can see their counselor or contact their counselor. The college application data form is a 4-page form that the students will need to complete before we can send off our information. It's going to help Jennifer and I to produce his letter of recommendation for college. So a student needs to complete that form as thoroughly and completely as he can, and then get that to us before applications are submitted. I'm also going to skip to the 3rd bullet point, the parent guardian questionnaire. Back in the spring, we asked our parents to, we electronically sent out a questionnaire for them to fill out about their sons. A lot of parents returned them, but a lot of parents did not. So if you have not done that yet, if you can please click on that parent guardian questionnaire, fill it out, and return that to Jennifer or I, depending upon who your son's counselor is, because that'll be very helpful in the process, helping us write their letters of recommendation. The teacher recommendation request forms. There's the link there. We're going to ask all of our students to email the teachers that they want to ask for letters of recommendation. We've cautioned the students that if they need to ask a particular subject, that'll be evident on the application process at the school's websites. So for example, if a student's applying for a particular program, say a PA program or a nursing program, they may request a specific teacher such as a science or a biology teacher. So the students should be aware that they're providing the right subject area if required. Most schools don't require a particular teacher, in which the student can have the opportunity to select any 2 teachers that he likes and feels comfortable with asking their recommendation. Certainly it should be someone who has something anecdotal to say about your son, and like I said, they'll submit that request form to the teacher. They should ask them prior, either via email or in person, and then that will be taken care of. They will upload that through Naviance, and we will upload that with the applications. So those are the 3 most important senior forms just to kick off the process. In terms of testing, I wish I had a more definitive answer at this point. I know many of you have struggled to get testing dates and times, and I know they've been canceled along the way. I've listed the College Board website. All your sons should have an account with College Board, and that's the way they would register. The 4 upcoming tests are listed for you, and their dates. Now, we have decided, when I took over as the Director of Guidance in the middle of July, Jennifer and I decided that we are going to offer our students SAT School Test Day. So that is going to be offered here on Wednesday, October 14th. So any Notre Dame senior, it's only for Notre Dame students and it's only Notre Dame seniors, who wishes to take an SAT can take it on Wednesday, October 14th. What they're going to need to do is they're going to need to get a check to either myself or Jennifer, made out to Notre Dame High School, and that will hold the student's spot for that particular test. We need these back sooner rather than later, and we're essentially, it would be very helpful for us if we can get that particular, get the checks in by Friday, September 11th, which will be the day after this is aired. Because we need to order them by that Friday in order to have enough. We can order a few extra, but if you know that this is something that you want to do, we've sent an email out, I believe, on August 31st for that. We're going to recommend that you do that. It's an opportunity for a student to test. But again, understand most schools are going test optional. Even if they haven't been test optional in the past, they're not requiring any standardized testing this year. So, just because we are offering it, if a student doesn't think that their SAT score is going to help them in the process, certainly it's something that they shouldn't feel obligated to do. But we've had some parents reach out to us and express that the schools or programs that their students are applying to or still want them to get the testing done, we felt obligated and that it's the right thing to do to give you guys this opportunity. So again, it's going to be on Wednesday, October 14th. If you decide that you want to do that, we'll need a check for either $68 made out to Notre Dame High School to take the test with the essay, or $52 to take the test without the essay. And again, you would check the school's website to see which is required at the particular school, whether they need the essay or not. Any further or additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Either contact me or Jennifer, and we'll be able to kind of direct you along the way. I also put a slide in about the ACT. Again, same boat with the ACT. The test dates are listed. The ACT website is there, but again, moving forward with this pandemic and schools possibly closing or schools on hybrid schedules, I don't know how successful anyone's going to be in terms of securing a test site and date. So there you go. Our Naviance program. Through this entire process, our seniors need to be comfortable managing their way through Naviance. Each family has a Naviance account. We can only create one, so it's in the school. The student has his own account that certainly parents can get onto. There's a username and password. The username is the student's email address. The password is whatever they created. Certainly students should share that information with a parent if the parent is wanting to work with the student on the Naviance account. The website is listed. As we move through the process, the students should certainly update the colleges I'm applying to link. That'll list for us the schools that they're applying to. And the teacher recommendation request form are going to be requested through Naviance themselves. Also, students need to match their Naviance account with their common application. Okay, and it's a very self-explanatory process. We are going to be giving the seniors a handout on how to do so. However, Jennifer and I have included a link here with a little video, so you can feel free at your own convenience. I'm not going to take time now to go through this, but this link will explain to the families via video how to link the Common App and Naviance. It's important because Naviance is the system by which we upload everything. That's where all our forms are. So in order to connect the two, you need to go through these steps. And like I said, this will be followed up in a couple of weeks, about a week or so, with written directions for our seniors. So feel free to watch that video at your convenience for the matching. Also with the applications, we obviously will be uploading your son's transcript. And just for familiarity purposes, on the transcript, the student's GPA and weighted GPA are both listed. So it's going to be his GPA from 65 to 100 on the unweighted scale through his first 3 years, and his weighted GPA. And the weighted GPA takes into account the strength of schedule, so to speak. So students earn more quality points for honors and AP level courses. In the Notre Dame Student Handbook, if you're curious, it gives a breakdown of the value of points for each on the weighted scale. So you can kind of, the students have been directed there, but if parents are interested, you can see how it breaks down in terms of the weight with the honors and AP versus the level 1 or the level 2. The transcript's going to include the final grades from 9th, 10th, and 11th grade only. We mentioned the colleges will get a listing of the students' senior year courses. If a student requests it, if a college requests it of a student, we can definitely send the first quarter grades, and we send all the final first semester grades to all the colleges that our students have applied to, usually middle to end of January once the first semester is done. The students know this, but for the parents, also listed on the transcript are the absences, as I mentioned, the senior year courses, and there's the information about the midterm grades being sent and the first quarter grades. So that is the transcript. Okay, letters of recommendation. As I mentioned, Mrs. Johnson and myself will be submitting letters of recommendation for all of our students. In order for us to generate and write that letter, the student must submit the college data sheet, which I gave you a link for earlier. And it is also helpful if we have the parent-guardian questionnaire. While that is not required, the college data sheet is 100% required. Rather, parent-guardian questionnaire, if it's unable to be turned in, that's fine, but it would definitely be helpful for Jennifer and I. Another note of mistakes of the past is please do not invite the school counselor through the Common App. On the Common App itself, there's a way to invite people for recommendations. Leave that blank. We're going to be inviting everybody through the Naviance program. That's why it's important for the students to have a working knowledge of Naviance. That's the way that they're going to invite both the counselor and the teacher. Teacher recommendations, again, students must ask and give the completed form in either email or in person. They should talk to the teacher ahead of time and then invite the teacher through Naviance. So again, our recommendation is to talk to the teacher. Again, a teacher they're comfortable asking, a teacher that they've had experience with. Usually guys ask junior year teachers because it's so new to the school year that a senior year teacher really wouldn't have the appropriate amount of time to work with the student. But again, a lot of times they ask the junior teachers. You can email them, they can ask them in person, invite them through Naviance, and then the teacher will get the request. The teacher will write the letter, upload it to Naviance, and then it'll be available for the school counselors to upload to the student's application. And again, please do not invite a teacher through Common App. Invite the teacher, invite the guidance counselor through the Naviance program. Financial aid. Okay, couple different things with that. First of all, I'll start with the fourth bullet point. We're going to have a college financial aid night. It's scheduled for Wednesday, September 23rd. The likelihood it's going to be via Zoom. We have a professional company that's going to be available to go through the financial aid process, which will walk you through the FAFSA, which will walk you guys through the CSS profile. So that'll be available. And again, just like this, if you're not able to attend that evening, we will have it available for you to view afterwards. Essentially, with the financial aid program, all families are required by all schools to fill out a FAFSA. FAFSA is the federal form. And like I said, once we get closer to October, we'll send out a reminder with a link and everything. But the FAFSA has got to be filled out any time after October 1st of this year. And basically, you'll need your income tax returns for the previous year, and you can go ahead and fill that out. Some schools also require a financial aid form, an additional form called the CSS profile. So that is something, while the FAFSA is free, the CSS profile is not. It's an application made available through the College Board. My recommendation is once your son's list of schools gets pared down and you know where he's going to apply, check the financial aid sections of each of the different schools to see if it's required. Because again, if a school does not require the profile, I would not recommend paying the money for it. That's what, like I said, so the profile is a paid program that some schools require. Not all of them do. The FAFSA is all the schools require. And like I said, we'll invite you to the Wednesday, September 23rd College Financial Aid Night, and there'll be an expert there to help with that. Jennifer and I are not experts on the area of financial aid. I've had two of my children go through the process, so I have some familiarity with it. So, like I said, this person is more inclined to be able to help with specific questions. Scholarships. We will be posting on the Notre Dame website any scholarship information that we get, independent, outside scholarships. We will post it. I would recommend once we get to the later part of the winter and certainly the spring, I would recommend senior families check that to see what's available for their sons in terms of scholarship opportunities. We do get some and we post them, and we'll help you in any way that we could in providing recommendations and or transcripts. To summarize, the seniors need to complete the senior forms and to get them to the counselor as soon as possible. So that'll be the college data sheet, the parent guardian form, and the teacher recommendation form to the teachers. Students need to make sure that they go through the common application, create an account, and fill the application out completely. They cannot submit the application unless it's filled out completely. Anything that's considered optional should be filled out. There's also a question pertaining to COVID. They need to complete it, obviously, as thoroughly as they can. They'll be working on their essay for that class in their English course. I believe Mrs. Butts has sent out information to the students about getting their essay going, so that will all be taken care of. Applications are submitted online. You're going to need a credit card in order to submit them. So that's a little bit down the line. SAT or ACT scores. If your son has taken the SAT scores, or if your son chooses to take the SAT testing day here, it is still going to be his responsibility to send the scores. Notre Dame High School does not send scores. We don't put them on the transcript. We changed that a few years ago because so many schools have gone test optional. If we put it on a transcript and a student decides to go test optional at a specific school, then it's going to be disclosed. So students need to send their scores on their own, specifically through the College Board or through the ACT if it's required and if they want them to go. We talked about the teacher recommendations. Again, the procedure should be that they should ask either via, I told the teachers that because the students are only in here a couple of days a week and they're not going to have the freedom to get around, they may get inquiries for recommendations via email. In the past, we tried to tell them to do it face-to-face, but again, the situation we're in with the pandemic and all, they should email the teacher at the very least, get the teacher recommendation request form to them, invite the teacher through Naviance. The teacher will write the letter of recommendation and it'll be uploaded through Naviance for them. Once a student goes ahead to apply, and again on the little chart I shared with you earlier on, not everything has to be in all at the same time, but once a student does submit, they're going to get a confirmation from either College Board or the school's website if they apply through that. That submission should be, they'll receive a confirmation sheet, and then that should be submitted to the school counselor. Here we've asked to submit the documents 2 weeks prior to the due date. That goes more so especially for kids who have deadlines for early action or early decision. So again, if something is due to the college by November 1st, it's very difficult for Jennifer and I to get everything out of here in a day or two. So if a kid comes in on the 31st, which I believe is that weekend, but if he were to come in October 31st, or forward us the confirmation sheet on October 31st and needing everything there the next day, it's going to be very difficult for us to turn that around, especially if we haven't written a letter. So if you know you have a deadline of November 1st, if we can get it to us 2 weeks prior, or let us know 2 weeks prior that we have to get something there by the 1st, or if you have a November 15th deadline, if you can get everything in, or at least let us know that we're going to have a deadline of November 1st for the November 15th date, that would be much more helpful for us in order to get everything out. Finally, lastly, and most importantly, please feel free to contact either Jennifer or myself with any questions that you may have. I understand this is a daunting process, especially if you're going through it for the first time, especially under the circumstances that we are in. Last spring when we worked with the juniors, we did our best to deliver the message, but in talking to a lot of them now as they're returning, just the way by which everything occurred with the pandemic and the stuff being done electronically through Zoom, I don't think some of the guys are as prepared as they need to be moving forward. We are here to answer any and all questions. We are here to provide you with the support that you're going to need to get your son into the best college for him. That is our goal. That is what our priority is. No question is a dumb question. So like I said, you can email either of us. You can call either of us. If you need to, we can set up a Zoom meeting. But again, my request to you guys is to use your sons as kind of a resource. I know they don't communicate all that well all the time, but they are going to get all this information as well. And while they're 16, 17, 18 years old, they need to take ownership in some of this process too. So sometimes before you ask us a question, just double check with them because they may know the answer. And if they don't, or you're not comfortable with the answer that they provided for you, please do not hesitate, like I said, to reach out to Jennifer or I. We are here to help in any way that we could. And we want to make this experience as, I'm not going to say pleasurable, but as smooth as possible for the families at Notre Dame High School. It was my pleasure to provide this information for you, and again, we'll be available for additional questions coming up. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Bye-bye.